Hey guys, the Firewheel is here. It's just me, and today I'm gonna be covering the Transformers Earthrise teaser trailer. Now, it's a bit weird that they refer to this as a teaser trailer wherein it's actually pretty long and there's quite a bit of content to digest. But nitpicks aside, I'm gonna cover the trailer, gonna explain to you what's happening, the characters that you might have missed because they're really hidden in the background, how this relates to the toy line, and how this is gonna affect Kingdom, and some of the details we know in advance. Now, before we begin, I should say there's gonna be some spoilers for Siege and some minor spoilers for Earthrise, some of the stuff that's gonna happen in there and some of the characters that are gonna be in there. But anyways, you're still here, so I'll assume you're fine with spoilers. So we'll begin right now. At the beginning, and this was pointed by Johnny Flash in the comments, they forgot to add the filter for the voice of Megatron, so he kinda sounds like a normal-ish kinda guy. Which is a major oof when this is the first thing we see about Earthrise. So hopefully this is not indicative to bad things that are gonna happen in the future in terms of quality for the series, because a lot of people were pretty upset with the first season because understandably so, there were parts where it was a bit boring and dull. It had its good parts, but the voice acting definitely wasn't one of them. So here's hoping that this time around, Earthrise managed to pick up, but it doesn't look like that's gonna be the case. So first off, we start with this ship, and it's approaching the Ark. Now, the whole scenery here is very similar to where we last left off in Siege, where the Autobots left through the space bridge portal. And if you look at the post-credit scene, let's call it, where we see the Ark and we see the whole, warning, unknown vessel approaching. This scene is very similar to that because it was very pitch black and the Ark was barely visible. Now, this is the unknown vessel that's approaching the Ark at the end of Siege. So what we're seeing here takes place immediately, and it's not like a day or a week or a couple of months after Siege. This happens immediately after the show concludes, after Siege. Now, this was also teased towards the end of Siege, but everyone on Cybertron believes that the Ark has been destroyed. Optimus Prime and his Autobots are no more. Elita 1 said towards the end of the show that she believed that Optimus and everyone else didn't make it through this space bridge portal, that the portal exploded before they could cross. And Megatron here seems to believe the same thing as well. So for everyone on Cybertron, Optimus Prime is going to be a very polarizing figure. Before, Elita 1 used to criticize Optimus, but now Megatron, the Decepticons, and even the last remaining Autobots on the planet are going to feel very antagonistic towards Optimus because he took the Allspark away from Cybertron, and because of that, Cybertron is now dying. So there's gonna cause a lot of friction between Optimus Prime's faction, the other Autobots scattered throughout the universe, and of course it's gonna make the Decepticons rally behind Megatron even more to take him down. Now, this was stated by the producers of the show, but we're not gonna be leaving Cybertron, and I think that was fairly obvious. I did mention this that a while back. We are not gonna see the last of Elita 1, Jetfire, and everyone that's gonna be left behind on Cybertron. We're still gonna see what's happening on Cybertron and what's happening around the universe. Now, something that they stated is that as the series goes on, we're gonna see the power begin to die on Cybertron. This is the same Coliseum where Megatron used to give his speeches back in Siege. You can see that now the lighting is dull, it's dark, there's a few lights lighting the place, and it's not like it was before. As we go on, we're gonna see Cybertron slowly die out. No more lights, no more power, and Autobots and Decepticons are gonna be desperate for fuel. It's very follow Cybertron-esque in the way that it's playing out, and I'm actually kinda intrigued to see how all of this plays out throughout the series. Here we can see Chromia, Elita 1, Red Alert, and Jetfire. Now, something that's interesting is that Jetfire now has the Autobot insignia, which it's like his toy. His toy has the ability to turn from Decepticon to Autobot. He can just flip the insignia and switch it to Autobot or Decepticon. That's a really cool feature that they added into the show. And that leads me to believe that since they added that feature, it is very possible that we're gonna see Jetfire on his battlesuit mode. The Jetfire toy for Siege has the ability to like equip this battlesuit. He basically gets some darker colors, he gets a new faceplate, and he's basically decked out with guns. Considering that we're seeing a lot of elements from the toy line now being introduced into Earthrise, and you guys will see what I mean in a little bit, I feel like now it's a very strong possibility for Jetfire to actually be seen using his battlesuit in the series itself. But the Autobots here have encountered another Autobot survivor, and the reason why I say that is because these guys are not pointing their guns towards him, because if this was a Decepticon, they will all have their guns pointed at him. Here, the Autobots are kind of just posing heroically. As for the identity of this guy right here, this is actually Autobot Hothouse, who transforms into a weird boat facility thing. He's part of the Earthrise toy line. And he's also one of the characters that I previously said we're probably not gonna see in Earthrise, so wow, way to prove me wrong, trailer. As you can see, these two have a very similar faceplate, like the helmet, the head, the colors are similar, the way it's shaped is similar. At the beginning I thought this was Mirage, but no, it's actually Hothouse. Here we see a shot of Wheeljack, Bumblebee, and RC. We have no idea where they are. It looks like they're in like some kind of reactor, but we do know they're in space because the gravity is off. These guys are floating. So my guess is that the Ark has suffered damage after the events of Siege. So the Autobots here are like acting quickly to try and repair it before like something bad happens. Here we have some Jetfire action. He's fighting some Seekers. Which something that I mentioned in my top 10 battles for Transformers Siege was that I want to see more aerial combat in Earthrise, because in Siege we only saw one aerial battle, but when we saw it, it was really cool and epic. So I'm actually pretty happy that we're gonna get another one when Earthrise drops. Now here we see some other Cybertronians. They're using the Ratchet / Ironhide mold, and as we can see, there are many of them and they're all pointing their guns. Now they have blue eyes, and typically when a Transformers has blue eyes, it means that they're part of the Autobots. Autobots have blue eyes, Decepticons typically have red eyes. We don't know where these guys are. It sort of looks like it might be the Ark, but it's really hard to tell. I definitely do think that these are actually Autotroopers, and that's something that a lot of people have been commenting as well. Autotroopers, in case you don't know, they're basically the Autobot equivalent of the Beacons. They're the Autobot's foot soldiers that are just there to, you know, get killed by the Decepticons. They're basically cannon fodder, the cannon fodder of the Autobots. It looks like for Earthrise we're gonna be seeing new cannon fodder be added into the carnage. Now here we see Optimus Prime coming out of like a tunnel and like delivering a fist towards someone. We don't know who, we don't know what this place is. If I were to wager, I think it has something to do with the Quintessons. This place sort of has a resemblance to the G1 Quintesson Spit of Judgment. It's very circular, you know, has this cylinder kind of shape. So my guess is that Optimus is probably coming into conflict with the Quintessons. And we do know they're gonna make an appearance on Earthrise. They appear later in the trailer, and they also have toys in the toy line. Now, this part is something that I've seen a lot of people miss. Now a lot of people know who this guy is, but if you take a close look at his eyes and the way they're shaped, this is actually Scorponok. Yes, Earthrise Scorponok. If you take a close look at the Scorponok toy and you compare it to this, their eyes are basically the same, the way they're shaped. They're extremely similar. I know that the way they appear here in the show, it's a bit different from the toy itself, because in the toy there's like a large gap between the eyes, kind of like, you know, a horse. Scorponok here is a huge toy, and like when it comes to animating and creating his model in the series, they have a whole lot more freedom to like design him however they feel like. So it's a small change from the toy, but I definitely do believe that this is Scorponok. I think it's pretty much confirmed by this point. Here we see Red Alert making an appearance. He's gonna come back. He's gonna be apparently engaging into some vehicle combat, and honestly I'm really happy to see that, because in Siege the Autobots and Decepticons having their vehicle modes play very minor roles in most fights. So I'm actually kinda glad that we're gonna be seeing some more vehicle combat come to Earthrise. That's a detail, that's something that I really appreciate. Now you all know who this is. This is actually Decepticon Double Dealer. Well, Decepticon, he's actually a mercenary. Now what's interesting here is that unlike the toy, he has the Mercenary symbol on his arm. In the toy version, he has both Autobots and Decepticon symbols, but it looks like they changed that for the series itself. Now here we see the Ark and another spaceship parked right next to it. Now as you can see here, the Ark has taken quite a beating. There are some scorch marks here and there, so it was actually damaged from crossing the space bridge. Now this ship is the same one that we see at the beginning of the trailer. As you can see here, I know the lighting makes it really hard to know this, but you can see some of the yellow here, and the shape is pretty much the same. It has that wing, it has that wing going up instead of sideways like you will typically see on one of these ships. And it looks like both ships are parked in a desert planet. I don't know what the Autobots are doing here, but it looks like they managed to cut a deal with the Mercenaries. But like we see later in the trailer, it looks like whatever deal they had going on, it's gonna get broken, and both Autobots and Mercenaries are gonna come into conflict, which will lead into the Mercenaries actually siding with Megatron and his Decepticons later on. This was actually revealed in one of the posters that we got for Transformers Earthrise a while back, where we see Double Dealer and the Decepticons cutting a deal. Now here we see Bugbite, who I said was probably not gonna be in the show, and this trailer again just proves me wrong again. And he's being choked by Bumblebee, who has the stasis cuffs on. So the Mercenaries are gonna betray the Autobots, and the Autobots are gonna fight back against them, which is, again, like I mentioned, gonna lead the Mercenaries to working with the Decepticons. In this shot, you can see Exhaust and one of the cone heads. Now, I'm really upset that Exhaust doesn't have a unique looking faceplate. The toy has this really slick looking head sculpt. Here, this is basically a Wheeljack recolor, and I'm actually pretty upset about that because it looks like Rooster Teeth is being really cheap and on reusing some of the models of the Transformers. The cone heads make sense. At least the cone heads look toy accurate. Exhaust here, come on, couldn't you put the minimum amount of effort to give him a new head sculpt or something? Hopefully this gets changed when the show releases, but honestly I highly doubt if they're gonna show if they're showing this right now, because it looks like they are pretty much almost done with the show itself. Now here we see Optimus, and from what we can see here, he's inside the Ark, and he's looking at this weird giant space bridge. Now this reminds me a lot of Transformers Prime. In the first episodes of Transformers Prime, Darkness Rising, there was a very similar looking portal, a very similar looking space bridge that basically teleported you to wherever you wanted. There's an asteroid attached to it. I don't know if that has any significance. That again could also be a reference to Animated, where the space bridges were actually placed inside or around asteroid belts. So yeah, I don't know. And here we see this weird ship. It's not the Nemesis, and it's not that mercenary ship that we saw earlier. To me, this looks completely alien, like nothing the Autobots and Decepticons would use. I think this is a Quintesson ship. Either that, or it's the Mercenaries' main ship. The ship that they use for intergalactic space travel, kind of like how Lockdown used his ship in Age of Extinction. Here we have a closer look at Double Dealer, Exhaust, Bugbite, and the Coneheads, who this time around are Mercenaries. Some people are annoyed or angry that the Coneheads are Mercenaries instead of Decepticons. Personally, I think that's the best thing they have done with the Coneheads in a very long time. The Coneheads themselves are basically cannon fodder. They're just there to get killed and don't really do or accomplish much. So having them be Mercenaries, I think it's kind of a breath of fresh air that these guys desperately needed. Now, it's very hard to tell where these guys are, but to me, it sort of looks like they're inside the place where we saw the Auto Troopers be in earlier. And this place looks very green, so maybe they're inside the Quintesson spaceship. Maybe they're about to fight the Autobots, or maybe they have been backstabbed by the Quintessons, who knows. But I'm very interested to see what's gonna happen with the Mercenaries here, and what their whole role is gonna be for Earthrise. Now towards the end we see this face. Now this is actually our first look at the Quintessons. As you can see, they have a very organic mouth, and the Quintessons themselves are actually half robotic, half organic, so in keeping up with that, it looks like Earthrise is taking a similar approach with them. I think this is actually the Quintesson face of anger. If you take a closer look here at the face, it sort of does look like it. Again, it's not an exact match because this guy seems to have a bit more colors going on, but this is for sure a Quintesson. It's either one of the heads that appear on the Quintesson toy. It's definitely one of the heads of the Quintessons here. I think this is actually the face of anger. I could be wrong, but that's the only thing that comes to my mind when I look at this. Besides some minor nitpicks, this right here looks almost exactly like the face of anger. But yeah guys, that's my trailer breakdown for Earthrise. Hopefully this time around Earthrise turns out being better than Siege. The trailer does make it look like there's gonna be more stuff happening on the show than Siege was. Siege was very slow at times, but Earthrise here looks like it's gonna be more action-packed and filled with more content than Siege was. So I'm really happy about that. My only complaint is that it looks like they haven't fixed the voice acting. Megatron's delivery at the beginning still seems really slow and dull. Most of the voices that we hear in the trailer are, again, like, they're not the best. Double Dealer sounds okay. I actually kinda like Double Dealer, but everyone else is pretty meh. That's the only thing that's dragging that's the only thing that's holding the show back. If they fix this, the show is easily top tier Transformers, and you know, take some small story aspects, but other than that, optimistic for Siege. I'm not gonna say I'm like extremely hyped for it. I am definitely curious and excited to take a look at it when the time comes to cover Siege. But for now, I'm keeping my enthusiasm at a minimum. You know, cautiously optimistic is the way to go most of the time. But anyways guys, tell me what you guys thought of the Earthrise teaser trailer. Are you guys excited for it? Are you guys upset about it? Are you guys not interested after watching Siege? Are you guys hyped after watching Siege? Let me know all about it in the comments down below. I think this has potential, and if they manage to nail the second season, I think Kingdom could be an amazing series. And I'm really hyped for Kingdom, but in order for Kingdom to be good, we need Earthrise to be good. And Earthrise has a solid foundation with Siege. It's not the best foundation, but it's solid enough to the point that I feel like with Earthrise you can do some amazing things, and from then on, Kingdom can be a masterpiece, which I really hope turns out being the case. But yeah guys, those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Like always, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be doing more Transformers Earthrise videos because there's a lot of things to cover after the whole HasCon panel that happened a couple of days ago. I'm not gonna be able to cover everything really quickly because I'm busy with college. So whenever I get free time, I'm gonna be slowly picking up on some of the news and some of the info that got dropped during the whole event. So yeah, hopefully you guys don't mind. So yeah, hopefully they don't screw it up this time. Anyways guys, before we go, shout out to our patrons: TrueBlue712, Stephanie Bowler, Christopher Prime, Frederick Hunter Plays, Mario Gordon, and the absolute madman himself, Jordan the Great, who donated $100. Thanks a lot to you guys. I tip my fedora in gratitude. A link to their channels and our Patreon are gonna be in the description and in the comments down below. Make sure to go check out their channels. Some of these guys do pretty cool content, and if you guys want to shout out your subs, all you have to do is donate to our Patreon. By donating to our Patreon, you get quite a few rewards. You can collab with me in some of my videos, you get exclusive roles on my Discord server, you can request your own videos, maybe even appear in some of my videos if you so choose, and I'm adding more rewards as time goes on. So yeah, it's a pretty good deal. But keep in mind that it is completely optional because freedom is the right of all sentient beings. So yeah, thank you guys for donating, it's much appreciated, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.